Welcome to this deep dive. And today we're going to be doing something a little different.
Oh, okay.
We were going to be exploring a couple of Arabic horror stories.
Interesting.
Now, you might be thinking horror stories.
Yeah.
What can those teach me? But trust me, these tales offer a really fascinating glimpse into another culture's fears,
Yeah.
beliefs, and storytelling traditions.
Right.
So,
It's like a window right into
yeah, it's like a window.
into their anxiety.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
What are they afraid of? What keeps them up at night? What gets under their skin?
That's right. And I think horror stories aren't just about giving you chills, though that's certainly part of the fun.
Right.
But they can reveal a lot about society's anxieties, the things that keep people up at night, as you were saying.
Exactly.
And these anxieties, they're often rooted in things that are much deeper.
Right.
They're rooted in cultural beliefs, in social norms, in historical experiences.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So by looking at these stories, we can sort of peel back those layers and get a better understanding of what makes the culture tick.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into our first story, the pasted text.
Mm-hmm.
And this story starts with a mother giving some pretty strange advice about her daughter, Hind, who's about to get married.
Mm-hmm.
She says, and I quote, "Don't anger or sadden her. She's not like other girls."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
ominous.
enough to make anyone nervous.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, that definitely sets a foreboding tone right from the start.
Right.
It suggests that there's something hidden, something dangerous lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly, ordinary young woman.
Right.
And this idea of hidden danger, this is something we see in horror across cultures, right?
Absolutely.
That fear of the unknown, the
Yeah.
thing that's lurking in the shadows, that's a universal fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the marriage starts off normally, but then there's this huge fight. And the husband, he storms out without apologizing.
Oh.
And that's when things get really strange with Hind.
Okay, so it's almost as if the husband's anger has triggered something,
Yes.
awakened this darker side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he unleashed
something, yeah.
by angering her.
Right.
And so she starts behaving very oddly, just sitting in the kitchen staring blankly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's her hair that really gets me.
Okay.
It suddenly becomes incredibly long-reaching past her knees with this unnatural gleam.
This detail about the hair is fascinating.
Yes.
It's not just a random creepy element, right?
Yeah.
In Middle Eastern folklore, particularly stories about jinn, hair is often associated with power and even a connection to the supernatural realm.
Okay.
And the jinn, for those who might not know, are often associated with fire and possess, shape-shifting abilities.
Yeah.
They play a significant role in Arabic folklore and mythology.
Mm-hmm.
They're believed to be able to influence the human world,
Right.
sometimes in very malevolent ways.
Oh, wow.
So the sudden change in Hind's hair, this could be a sign that she's no longer fully in control of herself,
Right.
that something else is influencing her, perhaps a jinn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like she's been taken over.
Exactly.
And that image of her long gleaming hair, it's just so unsettling.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it gets even worse.
Okay.
She starts appearing silently behind her husband, just staring at him with these disturbing knowing eyes.
That feeling of being watched, right?
Yeah.
Of being stalked by something you can't understand. This is a primal fear that resonates across cultures.
Right.
It's a classic horror technique for building suspense.
Right.
And making the reader feel vulnerable.
Yes, vulnerable and
Exposed.
exposed, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we come to the climax of the story.
Okay.
The husband, he wakes up in the middle of the night and finds Hind standing on the wall like a spider.
Oh, wow. The imagery of her on the wall,
Yeah.
contorted like a spider, that is so powerful.
Right.
Spiders, especially in Middle Eastern cultures, are often associated with darkness. Yeah. Danger and the ability to trap their prey.
It's like she's become the predator now.
Exactly. She's
Wow.
transformed into something monstrous,
Yes.
threatening.
So terrifying.
Yeah.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder, the husband calls Hind's mother to tell her what's going on.
Oh, no.
And she tells him that Hind has been with her the whole time.
So this is where the story introduces the concept of the doppelganger,
The doppelganger, yeah.
which is a common motif in horror worldwide.
Right.
But in this context, it could be linked to the belief in jinn,
Okay.
who we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
who are known for their ability to shapeshift and impersonate humans.
Right.
So the hind in the house could be a jinn sent to deceive and torment the husband.
So then, if the real Hind is with her mother,
Right.
then who or what is in the house with the husband?
Exactly. That's the question that the story leaves us with, right?
Oh, it's so creepy.
It is. It's that unsettling feeling of not knowing who or what you can trust.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
This is where things get really terrifying, as the Hind in the house reveals her true nature.
This scene is just masterful
It is.
in its use of psychological horror, right? It's
Yeah.
not about the gore, it's about the psychological torment.
Yeah.
The realization that he faces something supernatural, something he can't understand or fight,
Yes.
that is truly terrifying.
And then the story ends.
And it leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, what happened to the husband? What was that creature?
Exactly. What happened to the husband? What exactly was the creature that took Hind's place?
It's just so unsettling.
It is. It is.
What do you think this story says about the cultural anxieties or beliefs that might be present in the society where this story originated?
Well, I think there are a few layers to unpack here, right?
Okay.
One interpretation could be a commentary on societal expectations of women. Remember the mother's warning.
Right.
Don't anger or sadden her. This could suggest that women are expected to suppress their emotions.
Right.
And that any deviation from that is seen as dangerous.
Interesting.
Even monstrous.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like if a woman dares to express anger,
Yeah.
she risks being perceived as something other, something monstrous.
Exactly. It plays into this fear
Yeah.
of female power, right?
Right?
The fear of what might happen if women aren't kept in check.
It's a pretty disturbing thought, isn't it?
It is a very uncomfortable thought, but it's something that the story seems to be grappling with.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's another layer I think we can consider.
Okay.
The story could also be a cautionary tale about the dangers of hidden anger and resentment
Okay.
within a marriage.
Hmm.
Perhaps the husband's outburst unleashed something dark,
Right.
not just in Hind,
Yeah.
but in their relationship itself.
Like their relationship was cursed somehow.
Potentially, yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. And it just goes to show how much we can unpack from just one short story.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a glimpse into
Like a world
whole world.
of anxieties, yeah.
Okay, now we've got another story to explore.
Okay.
The Evil Child. And this one,
This one's a doozy.
yeah, it goes some pretty dark places.
This story draws on those classic horror tropes of isolation, vulnerability,
Yeah.
and, of course, the terrifying idea of
I know where this is going.
innocence turned evil, right?
Evil children.
Evil children, yeah, it's a trope that's been used
Yeah.
again and again.
It's effective.
It is effective. It really gets under your skin.
Yeah.
And it stays with you.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm already feeling a little creeped out.
Okay, well, let's dive in.
All right, let's do it.
The story starts with our protagonist, Ahmed, driving home on a dark, stormy night after a long work trip.
Okay.
He's exhausted,
Mm.
and he just wants to get back to his family.
So far, it sounds pretty relatable. We've all been there,
We've all been there.
eager to get home
Absolutely.
after a long journey.
Especially on a dark and stormy night.
Oh, yeah, that just makes it worse.
Makes it even worse, yeah.
But I have a feeling things are about to take a turn for the worse.
You're right.
Right.
Suddenly, his car breaks down.
Oh,
He's got no gas, no signal on his phone.
Oh.
He's completely cut off from the world.
this is bad.
It's a nightmare scenario.
It is.
It taps into that primal fear of being stranded and alone in a
Right.
dangerous situation.
You got it. I can already feel the tension building.
Good, good.
So what does he do?
Well, just when things seem hopeless,
Yeah.
he spots a large, shadowy house in the distance.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Oh, why not?
It's like a horror movie cliche.
Is it?
The creepy, isolated house.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Right.
But I guess when you're desperate,
Yeah.
any shelter
Yeah.
seems better than none.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, but as Ahmed approaches the house,
Yeah.
he starts to feel uneasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like something's off.
There's something off about the place.
Okay, now I'm really getting creeped out.
Okay, good, good. We're getting there.
What does he find inside?
Well, the house is old and dilapidated, and inside, it's a scene of pure horror.
Oh, no.
There are bloodstains on the walls and floors,
Oh.
family photos turned upside down.
Oh, that's so creepy.
It's clear that something terrible has happened.
Oh, yeah, those are such classic horror symbols, right?
They are.
The bloodstains, the inverted photos.
Yeah, it's like the house itself is corrupted.
Yes.
A place where the natural order has been violated.
Yeah, like the laws of nature don't apply there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then in the living room, Ahmed makes the most horrifying discovery of all.
Okay.
He finds a woman's decapitated body on the couch.
Oh my God.
Her head on the table next to a dead man with a knife in his chest.
That is gruesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely gruesome.
Yeah.
But wait, you mentioned an evil child.
Right.
Where does that come in?
Well, as Ahmed is trying to escape this nightmare,
Okay.
he comes face to face with a young boy covered in blood,
Oh, no.
holding a torn doll.
Oh, God.
And this child, well, he's not just a witness to the horror.
Okay.
He's the one who caused it.
A murderous child.
Oh.
That's terrifying on a whole other level.
It is, isn't it?
Like, what is it about evil children in horror stories that makes them so unsettling?
I think it's the perversion of innocence.
Yeah.
Children are supposed to be pure and innocent, right?
Right.
So when they're depicted as the source of evil,
Right.
it violates our fundamental expectations.
Exactly.
And it triggers this deep-seated fear.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate betrayal of trust.
Exactly.
And in this story, the child's actions are presented without any explanation,
There's no motivation.
which makes it even more terrifying.
Yeah, it makes it more unsettling.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's just pure, unadulterated evil.
Pure evil.
So, Ahmed's trapped in this house of horrors with a murderous child.
He is.
What happens next? Does he manage to escape?
Well, just when all hope seems lost,
Ah.
Ahmed's phone starts ringing.
Huh.
It's his wife calling,
Yeah, okay.
worried sick because he hasn't come home.
Oh, that's a glimmer of hope.
It is, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
He's got to answer. He's got to let her know he's in danger.
He tries to,
Okay.
but he's injured, and the
What?
phone is just out of reach.
Oh, no.
He has to get to it.
Yeah.
He has to talk to his wife,
Right.
but the child is standing between him
Oh, God.
and his only chance of survival.
This is heartbreaking.
It is. It's a really tense moment
Oh, my God.
in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just heartbreaking. He's so close to safety, but yet so far.
it
What
is.
happens next?
In a desperate moment, he lunges for the phone,
Okay.
risking everything just for a chance to hear his wife's voice one last time.
He makes it. Does he get to talk to her?
He manages to grab the phone, but just as he's about to answer, the child attacks.
No.
And as he's dying, he hears his wife's voice on the other end, just desperate to know what's happening.
That is just devastating. He died alone, terrified, and unable to reach the people he loved most.
It's a truly chilling ending. It leaves you with this lingering sense of unease and a stark reminder of the fragility of life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen.
It's true. It's true. These stories, man, they've taken us on quite a roller coaster of emotions.
They have.
From the eerie doppelganger in the pasted text to the horrifying child killer in the evil child.
Yeah,
They really pack a punch.
they do. They do.
What stands out to you about how fear and horror are portrayed in these Arabic stories?
Well, one thing that struck me is the emphasis on psychological horror.
Okay.
You know, these stories, they create a sense of unease and dread
Right.
through atmosphere,
Right.
imagery, and suggestion,
Yeah.
rather than relying solely on gore or jump scares.
Yeah. That's true. Like in the pasted text, it's not the violence itself that's scary. It's the creeping feeling that something is deeply wrong,
Right.
that Hind has been replaced by something sinister.
Yeah, it's that uncanny feeling of
Yeah.
something being not quite right.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
the imagery, the long black hair, the blank stares, the spider-like pose, it's so unsettling.
It is. It's so unsettling. And then in The Evil Child, the horror is heightened by the setting.
Oh, absolutely.
The stormy night, the deserted road, the isolated house.
It all works together
Yeah.
to create this atmosphere
Yes.
of dread and isolation.
Like the environment itself is working to create a sense of dread and vulnerability.
Exactly. The setting becomes a character
Yes,
in itself in these stories.
it really does.
Yeah.
And while the details of the murders are disturbing,
Yeah.
they're not gratuitous.
Right.
It's not like they're just there for shock value.
Exactly. They're there to emphasize the depravity
Right.
of the child's actions.
Right. So it seems like the horror is more about the psychological and emotional impact
Yes.
than the physical violence.
Absolutely. It's about the violation of innocence, the fear of the unknown, and that sense of helplessness
Right.
in the face of evil.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
What do you think that tells us about the cultural anxieties that these stories might be reflecting?
Well, it's tough to generalize based on just two stories, but I think both of them tap into these universal fears
Yeah.
about loss of control,
Mm-hmm.
the fragility of identity,
Right.
and the potential for evil to lurk in unexpected places, even within our own homes and families.
It's a reminder that even in the most ordinary settings, darkness can exist.
Absolutely. And they suggest that the things we fear most aren't always, the monsters we can see,
Right.
but the ones we can't.
Yes.
The ones that hide within us,
Yeah.
within our relationships, within the fabric of our reality.
That's a chilling thought. I like that.
Mhm.
Now, something else that struck me about these stories is the use of folklore and supernatural elements.
Right.
How do those elements contribute to the overall horror?
Well, folklore is integral to understanding these stories, right? It
Right.
adds this layer of depth
Right.
and complexity.
Okay, so let's start with the pasted text. The idea of a doppelganger replacing the original person. That's pretty common.
It is. It's a common motif
Yeah.
in folklore worldwide.
Right. But what's the significance of this figure in Arabic culture specifically?
Well, in Arabic folklore,
Yeah.
doppelgangers are often associated with jinn.
Oh, okay, the jinn again.
The jinn again, yeah.
Right.
These supernatural beings
Yeah.
are believed to have the ability to shapeshift
Right.
and
yeah.
even possess humans, taking on their appearance and memories.
So the hind in the story could be interpreted as a jinn,
It's possible.
sent to deceive and torment the husband.
It's a very real possibility within that cultural context.
Right, so she's not just a random monster. She's a creature rooted in specific cultural beliefs.
Exactly. She represents a disruption of the natural order, an intrusion of the supernatural
Right.
into the everyday world.
It plays into that fear that even those closest to us can be replaced by something sinister, something that we might not even recognize.
Exactly. It's a classic horror trope, right?
Mm.
That taps into our anxieties about identity,
Yes.
trust,
Yeah.
and the stability of the world around us.
Now, what about the evil child? The concept of children as monsters is certainly not unique to Arabic culture,
Right.
but is there anything in Arabic folklore that informs the way this child killer is portrayed?
Well, Arabic folklore does include tales of malicious spirits
Okay.
that can take the form of children,
Oh, wow.
often to lure unsuspecting victims into danger. There's also a strong belief in the evil eye,
Right.
a curse that can be cast by anyone,
Yeah.
intentionally or unintentionally, even children.
So, the child in the story could be seen as a representation of these malevolent spirits or the evil eye.
That's one way to look at it.
Okay.
But the story never explicitly states the child's origins or motivations, which makes him even more terrifying.
Right. It's like the story suggesting that evil doesn't need a reason. It just exists.
Exactly.
And it can manifest anywhere.
Anywhere.
Even in the most innocent-looking child.
Especially, a child.
Yeah.
That's the truly disturbing aspect of this story, right?
Right.
It forces us to confront this unpredictable nature of evil
Right.
and the possibility that it can lurk anywhere.
It's a scary thought.
It is. It is.
So both of these stories, they draw upon elements of Arabic folklore
They do.
to create this sense of dread and unease.
Mm-hmm.
But they also tap into those universal fears we talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
The fragility of identity, the potential for betrayal, and the intrusion of the supernatural into the everyday world.
They're all there.
Now, these two stories are just a small sample
Oh, yeah.
of the vast world of Arabic horror.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
For those of us who are intrigued and want to explore more, where do you suggest we start?
Well, there's a wealth of amazing Arabic horror literature out there.
Okay.
A great place to start would be with Ahmed Khaled Tawfiq,
Okay.
who's considered the pioneer of modern Arabic horror.
Okay.
Many of his works are available in English translation.
Awesome. What about films? Are there any Arabic horror films that you would recommend?
Definitely.
Okay.
Majnun from Jordan is a must-see.
Janine. Okay.
It's a psychological thriller
Okay.
that delves into the dark side of family secrets
Oh, cool.
and societal pressures.
Okay, that's going on my list.
Good, good.
And what about traditional folklore? Any recommendations for collections of folk tales or legends that we could explore?
Well, you can't go wrong with Arabian Nights.
The Arabian Nights. Oh, yeah, of
I
course.
think it's a classic for a reason, right?
Yeah, I actually have a copy of that at home.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but
It's a collection of stories that includes adventure, fantasy, and yes,
right.
horror.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the tales feature jinn,
Okay.
ghouls, and other supernatural creatures, giving you a glimpse into that rich tapestry of Arabic folklore.
Yeah, Arabian Nights is such a treasure trove of stories.
It is.
It reminds us that storytelling is a universal human impulse.
It is.
And that horror, in particular, has a way of crossing cultural boundaries and tapping into our shared fears.
Exactly. Horror stories, they explore the limits of human experience, right?
Right.
They help us confront the unknown and grapple with what scares us the most.
Exactly.
And those themes are just as relevant today as they were centuries ago, no matter where the stories come from.
I love that. So whether you're a horror enthusiast or just starting to explore the genre, there's a whole world of terrifying tales waiting to be discovered in Arabic horror.
Absolutely.
And who knows, you might even learn something new about yourself and your own culture along the way.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive into Arabic horror, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
What's the most important takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the key takeaway is that horror, like all art forms, reflects the culture that created it.
Right.
By exploring horror stories from different cultures, we can gain a deeper understanding not just of those cultures, but of ourselves.
It's like horror acts as a mirror.
It does.
Reflecting back our hidden fears and societal anxieties.
It shows us who we are.
Yeah.
On a deeper level.
And maybe by understanding those fears,
yeah,
we can understand ourselves a little bit better.
Absolutely. Horror can be a powerful tool for self-reflection.
Yes.
And cultural analysis.
I agree.
If we're willing to look beyond the surface and delve into the deeper meanings behind the scares.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Arabic horror. We've explored these chilling tales. We unpacked cultural anxieties and hopefully sparked a curiosity to explore more horror from around the world.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope it encourages you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the things that intrigue you, even the scary ones.
I love that. Until next time, happy reading and sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
It really is fascinating to see how these stories, reflect universal human experiences through this unique cultural lens.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking to something deeper.
Right, exactly. And before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
How do you think our own cultures shape the stories we tell?
That's a great question.
And the things that frighten us?
I think our fears, they often reflect our values, our beliefs, the challenges we face as a society.
Right.
So the next time you encounter a horror story, whether it's a movie, a book, even an urban legend, pay attention to what truly unsettles you.
Okay.
What does it reveal about your own cultural landscape and your anxieties about the world?
It's like horror acts as a mirror, right?
It does.
Reflecting back our hidden fears and societal anxieties.
Exactly.
And maybe by understanding those fears, we can understand ourselves a little bit better.
Horror can be a powerful tool.
It can.
For self-reflection and cultural analysis.
I agree.
If we're willing to look beyond the surface and delve into those deeper meanings behind the stairs.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Arabic horror.
It does.
We've explored these chilling tales, unpacked cultural anxieties, and hopefully sparked a curiosity to explore more horror from around the world.
I think we've done that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy reading and sweet